Here is all the supplies that you're going to need for this video. I use witch hazel to clean the dog's ears first. So you just want to use this and some cotton balls or gauze pads, and just make sure that the ear is nice and clean before you start posting. And then what I have here is for the post, you're going to be using backer rod or gap filler. Depending on what store you get it at, they'll call it different things. But you'll probably start with the medium size, and that's 1/2 inch, and then eventually you'll upgrade to the large size, which is 5/8 inch. I'm just now switching my puppy over to 5/8 inch, and she is a little over 4 months old. And then you're going to be using Zonas tape. You can either buy it like one roll at Walmart or at a drugstore, or you can go to Amazon and buy I think it's 12 pack. That will save you some money, especially if you know you're going to be posting for a while. And then I use duct tape. You can use any kind. That's just to make the backer rod a little sturdier, and that will help hold up the ear. Then, of course, a pair of scissors. And then this is optional. I like to use bonding cement on my backer rod, so that way it will kind of stick to the ear better, and they'll have a harder time getting the post to pop out. This is also optional, but I like using it. It's Gold Bond medicated powder. I like to put it at the end of the backer rod post, the part that goes in the ear. And this says it's cooling, absorbing, and itch relieving. So I feel like this kind of helps from irritating the dog's ear too much. And then, of course, cotton balls. I only have super jumbo, but any size will work. And then whenever you're taking the dog's post off, I use Goo Gone just because it's inexpensive and easy to access. Some people like to use, I think it's Unisolve or something else, but this is what works for me. And I've never had a problem with it irritating the dog's ear. So at the end of the video, I'll show you what to do with that. So now that we have this, we're going to go ahead and take our backer rod, and we're going to measure the dog's ear so that way we know what size post to use. So you're going to take your backer rod, take your puppy's ear, and push the backer rod down into the ear. As far as you can go, it's not going to hurt them. So you can actually feel the backer rod down here in the base of the ear. So then push that down, stretch it up. Then you want to add, so the top of the ear is here, you want to add about 1 inch or so. So now you have your measurement. So I'm going to cut the backer rod at this length. And you have 2 ears, so you're going to cut 2 of those, unless you're only posting 1 ear. Okay. Then you will always be able to cut these shorter later after they're posted to the dog's ear. Okay, so now that we have our 2 posts, this is what a finished post is going to look like. So I'm going to show you how to get from this to this. I'm going to put that one out of the way. So what you're going to do is cut 2 strips of duct tape as long as your post. Okay, so now you have your 2 strips of duct tape, and you can do like 3 or 4 if you'd like, but I found that 2 strips does the job. So you're going to take your tape and take your post and push and roll the post along the tape. So now you have one like this. Let's go ahead and do your next piece. Just go ahead and roll it along there. And then you can just cut off the edges where the duct tape is hanging over. So now you have like this. So now we're going to do the next part, which is attaching the cotton ball to the base. So I have my cotton ball here. So you're just going to cut off a section of it. And then go ahead and put it on there. Now you're just gonna fold it up. And you're gonna take a piece of your Zonas tape. Just go ahead and cut one that's a couple inches long. Put your post in there. And this is just to add some cushion to the base of the post. And this is gonna be the part that goes into the dog's ear. So the cotton ball just kind of helps from causing irritation. Okay, you want to make sure that's nice and tight, so that way that cotton ball doesn't come loose, even though it kind of fluffs out. But now you have your 2 posts ready to go. The next step is going to be applying the Torbot bonding cement. If you watch other posting videos, some people like to take the roll of tape and kind of like they wrap it around the post and back tape it, so that way the sticky side is out to the ear. But I personally like to use the Torbot bonding cement. It's made for adhering to skin, so it will not really cause any irritation. So I just get a little bit of that glue on there, and then find the smooth side of the post and apply some glue just on one side. And you don't need a lot. But just like that. And then you're gonna let that sit for about a minute before you put it on the dog's ear, so that way it gets tacky. And I believe you can get this on Amazon for about $10. So now you have your 2 posts ready to go, so I'm just gonna let them sit. And while those are drying, I like to get my tape ready. So I cut, I usually use about 4 pieces each ear. So they're usually about 3 inches long. So I'm gonna go ahead and cut 8 of these and get them ready, so that way whenever I go to post my dog's ear, I don't have to keep cutting tape. Okay, so I'm ready to go. So the next thing I do is I take this Goo Gone medicated powder and I put some of this in this little container so it's convenient to dip the posts into. So I just go ahead, I have some in there, I go ahead and dip my post in there and just shake it off. And do the next post. Okay, now my posts are ready to go into the dog's ear. Okay, so I have my post here. I am going to go ahead and put it in my dog's ear. So I'm just going to stretch the ear up and open up the base. Make sure that the sticky side is going to go against the ear. So just go ahead and wiggle that in until it's deep in there. Now you're going to stretch the dog's ear up and push it along the glue. So just like that. You can see where my post is much longer, so you just want it to be slightly longer than your ear. Okay, so just like that. Now you're going to take your strip of tape, and the first one I always do the tip with. So you're going to grab this and just fold it over the tip of the ear. And then you're just gonna squeeze it. So your next one is going to be about right here. And you always want to bring your tape towards the middle of the head. You don't want to tape that direction because you want the ear to fold naturally back. So just loosely wrap it around. Don't put any tension on it. And then you're going to squeeze, and that's what will get the ear or the tape to stick to the ear. You don't want to pull it tight because you don't want to cut off any circulation. So you just want to overlap slightly so that way it doesn't leave lines on the ear. So again, loosely, and then squeeze the ear. And so I usually do 1 over the tip, and then I have 3 on the sides. I like to leave the bottom open so that way it can air out and you have a less chance of getting any infections in there. So again, just loose and squeeze. So you can see you still have a good amount of the post showing, and if you try to pop it out, it's catching here, so it's not going to. And then we're going to go ahead and do the same exact thing with the other ear. So here's the finished product of the dog's ears. And she will hold them up a little more straight, but if you want to, I only add a bridge maybe the first 1 to 3 times that I post the dog's ears, so very early on, and then they naturally learn to just hold them up on their own. So later, like she's at 4 months, she doesn't need a bridge. She holds them up on her own. But this is the finished product. You can see there's still space here at the bottom. And that's all there is to it. So to take the post off, I very carefully put my scissors along the post and I just cut straight up along it. And then what I do is I take my Goo Gone and I put a little bit on my fingers and just kind of lightly saturate the tape, and it will just slip right off. It's very easy and you don't need a lot of it. You don't want to get this down in the ear, so just make sure that you're keeping it on the outside. And then once you're done, you just want to thoroughly clean the dog's ear with like soap and warm water, and then go back and clean with witch hazel. Make sure that all this Goo Gone is off the ear. So here's a picture of everything that I use for ear posting and removing the posts. I will go ahead and write out every item in the comment section, and if I can, I'll attach a link to it. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments. Earlier in the video, you saw me take my backer rod and roll it onto my duct tape, and I used 2 strips of duct tape for my Doberman puppy. If you had like a Great Dane puppy or a Doberman with thick ear leather, I would recommend maybe rolling it 4 or 5 times, so that way that post is very sturdy for those thick ears that can get heavy. But this is everything. Again, these 2 things are optional. I just recommend, and it's what I use, and it's what works for me. Alright, thank you for watching.